Hello. Hi, everyone. Anybody there? Can you guys hear me? Hello. I hit go live, so I'm not sure if anyone's here yet. I see the audio waves are going. That's good. Hey, can you hear me? Hey, guys. How's the volume? Can you guys hear me okay? Is it too loud, or I noticed last live I did it was a bit loud. Huh. No? Duration. Guys, I'm just looking at some of the qualities here to make sure I'm not lagging or screaming at you. Okay, it looks good. All right. So, yeah, I wasn't going to go. It's a weird day today, really weird. So it's just scrolling on Facebook and spooky scary story time. Do you know that woman? She puts up, TikToks of spooky and scary stories that people send in to her by email, and she just talks really fast and so she was talking today about a gentleman who had been in communication with the FBI several times, talking about Epstein and how Epstein Island was filled with people, and some of them were actually possessed by otherworldly entities, and that's why they possessed these people, because they could harvest the energy from the children, and that's what they were after, the pure energy. And we've talked about that. I think Bella um, talked about the reason why they have sex with men and male boys is because the energy that they siphon off of them. So it made me think of Epstein. And because I've talked about Epstein before, how I don't believe he's dead, mainly because the photograph that they took of him on the jail room floor, the jail cell floor, does not look like a dead body. And there was an expert mortician that's on YouTube. I forget her name. She went over in 5 different points how that can't possibly be a dead person. And there's a lot of rumor that he was switched out or rescued 24 hours before that. So also someone said that they had been driving on a thoroughfare in Texas. I think it's either Dallas or Austin, and they had um, looked over at a stoplight, and there he was sitting behind the wheel in a car. And she was trying to madly scramble for her phone to take a picture. And he screamed, even when the red light was still red. He went through the red light to get away from her so she couldn't take a picture. And then, you know, barreled down the road at top speed to get it, make sure that she couldn't follow him. And so there are people that believe he's still alive, and I do too. So I thought I would do a spirit box session on Jeffrey Epstein and how that may relate to what's going on in China with the games and the child trafficking and the organ trafficking and all of that, and these demonic entities feeding on souls and energy. And so someone had asked me, could I just slip in there, because I mentioned that Song Yuren was going to die? Could I ask if Song Yuren has died at the end? And then she went on to ask about 10 other questions for me to ask. Now, I tried to explain to her, well, if I'm focused on one person in a session, asking 10 other questions in that session is just really another session in itself, and makes it extremely long, because you have to wait for like a minute to get the right answers from spirit to the question. So, I decided I was going to quickly ask one question. Is Song Yuren dead now? And then everybody's been asking about Chen Duling and Dilraba. And so I asked those two questions. And as soon as I asked it, immediately the spirits came and said, killed twice. And so of course I'm like, oh gosh, I heard that. But are they talking about Chen Duling or are they talking about Dilraba? And then so I had to wait till the session was over to make sure I heard what I thought I heard, which I thought I heard Chen Duling a couple of times, which I ended up hearing, but I had to sort of have my headphones on and going over it slower. So it was really sad to be listening to this because first of all, when I asked about Song, before the spirit box even started, he said, oh God, I really hate that person. You know what I mean? He hated Song with a passion. Really, he did. And I don't think he hated very many people. Like I think he was a nice guy. He was pretty copacetic with everyone. I think he's only ever said he hated Song and Du Chang, which he could have possibly hated them all, but he's only mentioned to me that he hated those two people with a passion. So when I asked about Chen Duling, it said killed twice. It went on to say that she was killed in the game in the capital city. So that's Beijing. Didn't say Shihao, it just said in the capital city. That the police were involved. They had transported her, the police did, from the location she was killed at. So I don't think it was at Shihao, but it was in Beijing. They didn't say what the game was specifically, but they did say that there was an explosion. It said that the doctor came and they called the doctor. So I don't think that she was dead. I think she might have been severely injured or maimed. And I don't think the doctor was there to make her well again. I think he was probably there to, harvest some organs. They didn't say any of her organs were harvested, except for, quite interestingly, they said her hypothalamus. And I don't know if there's any scientific people here, but I know that I think I heard a video that she was very intelligent. She was extremely intelligent. And the reason you'd want to excise a hypothalamus in the deceased individual is because hypothalamus focuses on the processing speed of your brain, attention control, things like working memory, sort of like conscious integration of information. So if she was extremely erudite in that, then they would want to have her thalamus to study. So that's what they did. They also talked about taking her hair, which was quite interesting. And my opinion with that is that the spirits actually mentioned DCX, which is it's called double cortin, DCX is, and it's a marker found in follicles, and it relates to the study of neurons and brain development. So that might have been something else they wanted to study in her hair follicles. So obviously they were impressed by her intelligence, and they wanted to study her brain because of it. So in the end, you said, which was the most profound thing, it was so sad, and he said they only targeted her because he loved her. She fell into this because they kissed. He kissed her, and Song knew about it. And he mentioned Song when they were talking about her death, as if to say it's her fault that she was drawn into this. So it must have been Song's jealousy over how he felt about her that drew her into the trouble that she was in. And I believe it. I mean, you know how I said I have intuition when I find things that may not be true or true, it like rings in my head. And that really rang in my head when I read that. Um, so basically, as well, really sad is that she was sad that her body wouldn't be able to go home because she said that her dad, quote unquote, um, her dad would probably want to kiss her pretty face. You know what I mean? Like, I guess this is something he probably said to her quite often. Get over here so I can kiss your pretty face or something like that. And she was sad that her body wasn't going to go back home to her hometown uh, for her parents. And you said, you know, she's here with me now. So, and it was so sad too because at one point in there you can hear him crying, Duling, Duling, like crying. And then, he's called her Chen too. And so he was none too happy. He was pissed. In fact, he said, I'm pissed that this happened. But he said, all my people are over here now. So anyone who had supported him has now died. So they're all over there with him. So that is a relief because they can't hurt her anymore. But they also mentioned getting her double ready. So in the session that I did. So her double's still going to be showing up. And you're just going to have to watch for the markers of, the beauty mark in her eye and things like that they can't really fake. But they could try, I guess, with contacts. They could probably try to put contacts in the double to make it look like that mark is there. But you're not going to be seeing the real Chen Duling again. And you know for certain they were going to do something to her because look at how she came out in public when she went to the event last, when she was wearing the white dress and the choker. She looked like they had given her Valium to be able to be there. She could barely stand up. She looked thin as a rail and she looked shell shocked. And, I don't know when this happened. So what I did was after I did that session, I went in for another few minutes to talk to you and I wanted some clarification of when and where and how, and then to find out more about Dilaraba because when I asked about Chen Duling and Dilaraba, he said they were both killed, but he didn't give me any information about Dilaraba. So I did that secondary session, which is about 4 minutes long. So I'm going to go and try to transcribe it tomorrow and get it up for tomorrow evening. It does take quite a while, and see what he has to say about Dilaraba. If there's nothing being said about Dilaraba and it's all about Chen Duling, that's actually kind of a good sign because that means there's nothing really to tell about what's happening with her, and I may be misunderstood about both of them being killed. Yeah, but good news. That horrible monster, Song Yuren, is gone from this world, and hopefully she's facing all her karma on the other side. Yeah, this is how they said Song Yuren died. It's right up her alley. So they were talking about her taking shots with some guys, like alcohol, drinking shots, and that she was with two men. They were taking turns with her. And she asked, okay, pay up, it's cash only, you know what I mean? And so she was prostituting herself. And she said, we'll settle it today. And one of them shot her. So I don't know if they were paid to do this or if it was just a matter of her partying with people she shouldn't have been partying with. because, you know, I heard that about her personality. Like in Toronto, she was sleeping with like 6 people at the same time and all this stuff. And I don't judge people for their sex life. I mean, that you do you, girl, you do you, boy. It's up to you what you like, as long as you're not hurting anyone and everybody is of age. And I won't like slut shame anybody. But just the way she bragged about it and how she went on about it, like it was something to, you know, I think it was all persona, just throwing persona out there to make people think she was dangerous or something, you know, little 5 foot nothing of her. Poor you, though. I mean, he said in this, you know, you never forget that how they hit you in the face. It hurt so much, he said. It hurts so much to be hit in the face. And I have been hit in the face because I told you I did martial arts, right? And it does. It really hurts to get smucked in the face, especially just along the, you know, cheekbone and up on the underneath the jaw. Ugh. Anyway, it kind of rattles your brain. Um, so so that was how she died. A very ignominious end for her, because really, that's you die as you live, right? You know that saying? You die as you live. So she died as she lived. Chen Si. I'm going to just tell everybody now. Every artist in China is in mortal danger. Because basically what's happening is they've run out of money in the Chinese entertainment industry, and they're going to look for every other avenue to make money from them, including, which I clued and clicked into today, when I was talking to Godfrey Gao, they mentioned something about insurance, but I didn't know what that meant. You know what I mean? And then I thought about it. If they got Godfrey Gao put insurance policy out on him and had it paid out to the agency, which a lot of times they do, because the agency is like, oh, if you injure yourself, we're going to lose money. So nobody bats an eye at it. But if they put out an insurance policy and then he died, they would get millions from that payout. And so that might have been another reason for him to die. And I just wanted to point out as well, my daughter was helping me put the premiere up, so I'm still learning. I'm pressing all the wrong buttons and feel so like an oldie getting the youngie to work for me. But she said, "What do you want me to title it?" And I said, "Well, Chen Duling's death." And she said, "Well, you better not put that because you might get like banned or something from YouTube because you have the word death." And I thought about that. And here's what I think about that. It really bothers me when people say unalived, pew pew for gun. What are some of the other ones? Self-delete or something like that. You know what I mean? Where they edit their language for YouTube so they don't get demonetized or whatever. I want to know where this came from, because you know what? I know for a fact that words have power. And not allowing people to say those words takes away power as well. When we can't say someone was sexually assaulted, and we have to say SA'd, and we can't say someone was raped, we have to say great. If we can't say someone was murdered, then what are we doing? We're taking the power from that, what happened, and we're downplaying what happened to an individual. And it happened to them. It's tragic. So words have power. Why do you think they call it spelling or spell casting? because you breathe life into the magic through the words that you use in your incantations. So every time we allow this to happen, that we allow them to edit what we say, and the meaning doesn't truly be handed on to another individual in your communication, it means they have the power to edit how we feel about it as well. And now, instead of us saying, oh my gosh, that person was murdered heinously, we say unalived. You know, it's not necessary. Who is being hurt by saying killed? Who is it? Who is it bothering? It's bothering the people that don't want us to say that kind of thing so often, because it will eventually sink in how terrible a situation we're in, how many people are being killed. You know, and that's how I feel about it. So, you know, I was just thinking about that because my daughter wanted me to change my language as to how I was going to, what topic I was going to put on the live here. And really, you know, think about it. Words do have power. Okay, we don't want to say the N word. That's right. Nobody wants to say the N word, but it's being said. It's just not being said by us. You know what I mean? It's out there in a lexicon. And, you know, we have to understand that when we allow people to censor us like this, we've lost our power. And we are being censored. Might not be China where you can't even put Yumen Long down, but we're editing how someone's a tragedy that happened to somebody, you know. And if you don't think killing yourself, it's a tragedy, and it's happened to you. You know, you may have done it yourself, but a lot of times it wasn't you that did it. It was society, was a mental illness. It was, you know, circumstances of life. I've been thinking quite often, like, if this is a simulation, oh my goodness, someone's got to get in there and turn down that difficulty level, because I think for the last 5 years we've been on no lube mode, and we just really want the easy setting to be put on. Really, honest to gosh, and you know, and also for like resources that are on this simulation, like, can we go in there and put a patch in there for stuff that might be just like affordable, like food and housing? You know, if this is a simulation, someone's over there put it on roller coaster mode, and I just like to, like I say to some people sometimes, stop the merry-go-round, I want to get off. I really, really do. So this is what I found out from that reading, and it was the last 1/4 of a reading that I did today. So it was only about 5 minutes long once I put my 2 cents worth in. So I think it's better to do 5. Do you guys think it's better to do shorter sessions or stick with the 10-minute ones? I think 5 might be better. What do you guys think? Also, people can't say a certain race when crime is being committed. So how are we to look for that criminal if we don't know their race? Yeah, so it's a way to, you know, it's a control mechanism, right? If they can control what we say, they can control how we think. And if they can control how we think, they can control every aspect of our lives. And, you know, and they can say, oh no, you can't say that person killed them. They edited them out. What? No. No, no, no. Stop that. Stop that. It needs to stop. But so that's what I didn't really come prepared with anything to talk about other than that. Chen Duling, and here's what I'm thinking is going to happen fairly soon, as the reason why things are going really sideways in China, in fact, I heard today that um, the Chinese New Year is coming. And in China, during the New Year, um, they hang red lanterns. It's just part of the celebration. And I heard they're starting to hang yellow lanterns. And yellow is like the color of funerals. It's the color of, uh-oh, you know, spaghetti-o, something's really wrong. And so they're seeing the forest for the trees there in China with what's going on politically right now. And I really do think that, as they say, they're saying is riding the tiger, meaning you can't get off. You're stuck on that tiger because getting off is only going to mean you're going to be dead and you're going to be killed. And so I think that she is riding the tiger right now. And the only way he could have gotten off was to produce Zhang Yuxia, which he can't because he got Kai Chi and his Imperial Guard, the 38 or someone from the South Pacific to eliminate him that night because he's not like the elders who don't want to pull the trigger because they're afraid it's going to destroy their precious CP. He's an action guy. Think later. Do now, think later. This guy, oh my gosh. I wonder sometimes, I have to think about it because um, when you think about all these elites and these secret organizations that really run the world, they really do put really moronic idiots in power as puppet leaders to countries, don't they? So they're easily manipulated either through a lack of intellect or ego, and so they can push them in one direction fairly easily. And a lot of the times, with the lack of intellect, they have a sort of a skewed moral compass as well. So I know that I've read that she only has an elementary school education. And I've watched some clips of him interacting with reporters and so on. And, he needs to take um, little cue cards with him. And if someone asks him something, he shuffles through the cue cards. And if it's not in there, he has no idea what to say. So the intellect just isn't there. So, and a lot of times when you lack the intellect and you don't have the frontal cortex to work with, you end up with the lizard brain that takes over. Pardon the pun, because I really do think he's a lizard, but reptilian. I don't know. That's crazy saying that, but yeah. So I just really think that he's a do first, knuckles scraping on the ground kind of person. Think later, and that's what he's done. And there's no getting off the tiger now. So I think it's either going to lead to civil war, or they're going to force him out. I think Tai Chi's kind of helped that along because Tai Chi wanted this Thai. Someone was nice enough to send me how to pronounce everyone's name list, and I still have to tack it up somewhere because I don't have it memorized. But I think he did push him to do this because he's the one that's really doing all the intellect work. He's the one that manages the bureau and all the communiques, and he's like he's the brains of the outfit. And I think the only reason she has been successful is because he's always been the thug dealing with people who want to behave like gentlemen. So he's the one going in there like a street fighter, and everybody else is in there like the early sort of 1800s, like fisticuff guys, like, trying to punch him like, oh, we're going to fight like gentlemen, you know what I mean? And he'd just go in there and, give you a sucker shot as soon as he could. So that's the way he's been running this government, and that's why there's only two people left in the CMC, And that's why there's hundreds of generals that are now dead. And it's just not going to work out for him in the end. Because you, when he did that to you, divine intervention stepped in and it said, no, you've gone a step too far now. And you've killed my light bringer. And now you're going to pay. So none of them are going to walk away unscathed. Not one of them. They're all going to pay, and they're going to pay for the rest of their lives. And whether they go to jail or not, I really don't. So I thought to myself, what if she is drummed out of office? What would that mean for the you case? And I really do think none of them really cares what happened to you. I think that when John Yusha used it against he did it only because it was something he could have leverage and have she overbarrel with. I think everybody knows about it in each level of the government, but some don't care. And some just say, well, okay, but I'm not going to go after trying to get someone who's responsible for this to... So I really do think that if they were smart in China, they would arrest all the Xi clan and confiscate all their wealth, because all of that wealth came from the people of China anyway. If you heard about his sister, she went to Venezuela, and because Venezuela owed China money, she said, sell me every barrel of crude that you have, crude oil, for $20 a barrel. And then she went and she sold it for $60 a barrel to the state-run oil refineries, oil distributors over in China. So she made a $40 profit on each barrel, which was about $400 million. Not 400 million yuan, $400 million a year. And she's been doing this for almost 10 years now. Can you just imagine the wealth? And there's so many incidents of other things that she's done as well, like concrete and stuff like that. She's cornered the market on so many things. And just the insane amount of wealth. Look at Lang Lang in Australia. Didn't they say her net worth was like 400 million USD? And she was what? What is she, 21? Come on. Yep, that would be the perfect thing. Because all that money that Xi's sister took should have gone to the country and the country people anyway. Because it was a debt owed to China. And she pocketed all of that. So, corruption. So I say, he's not a politician. He's a mob boss. And the mob is the Xi clan. And it's running a country. So I wonder if I said enough now to get... Oh, another thing too. Oh my gosh. I forgot to mention. In the session, it said Canada, the police will find a game out in Canada and it says, gotcha, mother effers. So they're going to find out a game in Canada. Believe it or not, I don't know why it said Canada, but it also said that someone named James kids F up and they get caught. And they're going to be able to follow that lead from the Canada game to the other games. So it's starting to get exposed now. It's going to start to get exposed now. And hopefully we can put it to an end. And that's what you said throughout the whole session. Come on, guys, let's just please end this. I just want to end this now. I don't want to see this happening anymore. Let's stop this now. He kept saying so. Yeah, now that he has all his allies on the other side, I guess he doesn't have to worry about them so much. And it's nice that he has Chen Duling with him. Did any of you watch the video yet? Were you able to get my favorite thing he said is he said, my love is here with me. So he admitted how he felt about her. And it wasn't like sisterly love. You could tell. The way he said it wasn't like, oh, my best chum and buddy is by my side, you know. So, yes, karma is repaid in 2026. Um, yeah, because it's awakening for everyone, and you're not going to be able to hide. If you mess up, people are going to see it right away. So you might as well try not to mess up in 2026. Yeah. Has anyone ever heard of Dolores Cannon? Dolores Cannon? Well, she's a woman who did quantum healing, and she used to take people into meditation. They go and they talk to they could go to talk to source and stuff like that about their past, their future, their present. And she talked about the new earth, how we were going to um, at one point we're going to have an option of switching over to a new earth instead of living in this baseline earth that's filled with reptilians. And we're going to have it's going to be like 4 and 5D, and it's going to be like the perfect place. It's going to be like everybody's, in love with each other. They're not hurting each other. We're all prospering. It's beautiful. We're not going to have pollution, things like that. And I've often wondered if it's just a state of mind or if it's actually a physical place. She said that some are going to stay behind, I guess, like the rapture would be, right? You'd have people who are in, they have that in the Bible, right? You're raptured and you have the best people go up to heaven and the rest stay behind on the rotten old earth. Well, the new earth theory is like that as well. You would have other people that stay in the third dimension, sort of muck and mire of earth now, with all the pollution and all the killing and all the senseless violence, and and the terrible things being done to children. And I thought today, I was thinking when I was doing the reading, I was wondering, hey, did that new earth come by and I wasn't ready for it? Now I'm stuck in this mess. Because really it does feel, I don't know if you guys feel the same, it does feel totally crazy out there. Like, is it just me, or does it feel worse than it ever has before? In the last few years, it's just like you cannot believe what people are doing to each other. And they have no patience. For example, I was watching a video where someone had shoveled themselves out of their parking spot in New York, right? Which is typical, right? It's on the street, so you shovel yourself out, but you can't expect to go back to the same spot, right? But they did, and they came back to the same spot and found somebody parked there. And you know what they did? They actually shoveled these people in out of spite because they had the audacity to park in an open parking space. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think we would have done that in the 90s. You know what I mean? You just go, oh, well, that sucks for me. I guess I'm moving on to the next spot or seeing what might be open. No, take the time to revenge shovel these people in and make sure it's packed around their car so they can't get out without chiseling it out. Ugh, terrible. Terrible. Nobody's perfect here, right? None of us are, but I mean, I wouldn't spend my time shoveling somebody in. Yeah, Earth is beautiful. Earth is actually gorgeous. If you take a moment to watch, those films on the planet, what is it called? Shoot, Planet Earth, maybe. The one where they take like wide angle camera and shoot all over the beautiful places in the world and then show you all the gorgeous wildlife, and it's a beautiful place. But it's almost like we have our blinders on. We have narrow vision towards our goals. We don't take the time to really look at the beauty of what's all around us, and we miss it. And that's what Godfrey Gao said. I didn't appreciate my life while I had the chance to live it. I wish I had a chance again, to go and live out my life. And you said he wished he could have just gardened and had a normal life, you know. And it was all in the pursuit of, higher pursuit of fame and fortune, and not that he cared about money. He just wanted to sing. And that's what he said. I just wanted to sing. He just wanted to sing. He didn't even want to act. In fact, when he first started acting, he kept having to be directed over and over again because he had no clue what he was doing, and he was totally uncomfortable about doing it. But they didn't give him a choice, you know? And so, heartbroken Deborah. So Voyager says, heartbroken Deborah, we will never find out exact time of her death. Bless those poor souls. Need to ask for signs where those games and rituals are taking place. Is there anything we could do? Well, I do know that the spirit said there's 87 different places. So we kind of have a number to think about. We do know how many are dying. Spirit said 400 people can die in the span of a couple of days. So we know how often these games are going on. If we do the math from the 87 locations and assume that each location is putting on games. We don't know the exact date of her death. But is that important? When really, if someone passes, like, for example, my mom died, right? And I went down in December for my sister's birthday, and we all went to surprise her. She was the oldest child. So we're like making a big fuss over her birthday and had a big event and surprised her. And before I left, I went to my mom's grave. And my mom's been cremated, and her ashes are with my father. And really, the grave is just like a placeholder for her. And was she really there when we went to talk with her? I think I have a different view because I can speak with spirit anywhere using the spirit box. So I know that a spirit's not at their grave site, and I don't need to go to the grave to talk to them every day. But I do have a cousin who lost her brother young. He was at the bottom of the driveway fixing his bike with his cousin on his father's side. His mother was my aunt on my mother's side. And yeah, a truck hit them. A transport truck hit them. And they both died instantly. And his sister goes to the grave with her mother every day since. And he died when he was about 12. And she's in her 50s now. So, I mean, that's a big commitment, Maybe she's doing it for her mom. Maybe she's doing it for herself, but it's a lot of trauma she's been dealt at such a young age. She was younger than him, I think 8. So, yeah, what I'm trying to say is, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that we don't have to have a date. We don't have to have a place. As long as we remember these individuals in our heart, the energy that we give them when we have pleasant thoughts about them, when we remember the good things they did, when we remember their laugh, when we remember, how intelligent they were and what great conversations you may have had at one point, or any of these things means so much more than a place or a time or a thing. Even a candle, the candle is not what's reaching them. It's the intention that you put into buying the candle. Are you going to use white? Are you going to use a blue candle? Where are you going to set it up? Are you going to put it up in a little sort of offering corner? You know, are you going to put other things around it like pictures? Every time you look at it, are you going to remember a different memory from that moments you've had with them? And so it's in the intention, not in the actions. So, are you going to buy scent a candle? You know, things like that. So, do you buy one that's lemon scented because her favorite dessert was lemon meringue pie? You know, it's about that, you know. Um, yeah, it's just like with words, right? Honestly, um, they have so much power. You can tear someone down with a word, or you can build them up with a word. And you can, you can breathe a word into an event. Like you can breathe a word into a promise to yourself that you're going to lose weight or you're going to, do this. And it's like, until you say it to yourself, until you know you can do it and you believe what you're saying, it won't happen. It's just like, words are so powerful. It's just, I hate to see when they try to censor the words that we use. And there's nothing wrong. And then I hear unalived. That's my worst one. Unalived. It makes me cringe. It makes me cringe. Do you talk to your parents and your son every day? Yeah, that's awesome. See? Like, that's what counts. You're talking to them. I mean, I'm sure if you got, sick or something happened to you, you couldn't go to the grave every week, Josie, I'm sure your son would still love to hear from you, right? Love to hear from you in your kitchen while you're cooking one of your favorite meals to cook, and maybe it was his favorite meal to eat as well. You know, there's so much more meaning in that. Oh, hey, Strawberry. What do you do with so much money you can't eat gold or silver? That's correct. The same food, rice, noodles, pasta. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like the thing is, like, that's why they keep food being more and more expensive and they keep raising tariffs because it comes to our doorstep. And the more money we have to spend to survive, the less money we have to go out and protest. I can't protest the fact that the government's taking this, that, and that away from me once again because I can't risk losing my job because I'm one paycheck away from complete destitution. Things like that. So it's diabolical. Um, so what would you guys like to talk about? Is there anything you'd like to talk about? Oh, I wanted to talk about AI actually. What do you guys think about that? So Tony Lynn says, Gladiator games, Squid Games, Hunger Games. If you look at it from a historical view, these games have always existed. True, absolutely true. And you know what? In Roman times, what did you have, right? You had you had slaves in Roman times. You had um, prisoners of war. And a lot of times these slaves or prisoners of war would end up being the fodder for the games. But we should be beyond that now. I mean, aren't we open minded? Aren't we civilized? Or shouldn't we be? I know that Dubai still has slaves. So maybe all these things that we think have disappeared are still there, but now they're hidden. And we just, as long as we don't look directly, it's like, no, I'm not going to look directly at that. I'll just side eye it. I won't recognize it for what it really is. So someone said I missed out Idaho. I missed out. Is she unalived, really? Um, yes, she's really killed. That's what the spirit box said twice. Killed twice, dead once. Um, Victim of the games. Yeah. So yeah. Um, Although the spirits have said that she died before in combat against 100, and you know what? They could have been right. So here's how it works over on the other side. When I cross over, I'm going to be aware of everything that happened in the past, everything that's happening right now, and everything that's going to happen in the future. And I'm going to be on the other side, and it's all going to cement in. It's going to be, there's no timeline. It's all going to be like, there's no yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Whereas, you know, how we see it, like yesterday behind us, today in this present, and tomorrow ahead of us. That's just my culture in the West. There's other cultures that look at it bottom, middle, and top. Other cultures that look at it sort of linearly, like left, right, and center. Um, but they get over there and it's all at once. They know everything. So when I talked to the spirits before and they said she died in the games against somebody that was the number 100, they could have been telling me what happened now and talking about it like it's already happened, because to them everything at time is now, like there's not linear. And so they were right back then and they're right now. So, and if she does, and they did talk about her double, so if she does show up, everybody just look for the little signs that show it's not her, you know, looking like she's wearing a mask, no sort of beauty mark in her eye. I think she has one on her hand as well. Things like that. Look for that. It's sad that they could just bring in a replacement for them, like they're just a commodity to be replaced, right? Um, so yeah, I want to actually do a reading as well, a session on AI, because I was listening to a financial expert that I listened to um, on YouTube, and he was talking about a number of big companies, very big companies, and they're just this last quarter let go 4,000 people, 2,000 people, all in sort of analytics and stuff like that, which you don't need anymore, because you could get a team of 6 people analyzing the market and come up with a great plan in about a week or so. With AI, you can do it in a matter of minutes. So what do you need a think tank for if AI could just come back to you and tell you what to do in half a minute? So those jobs are going. They're gone. Things like paralegals won't be necessary because you'll just have AI do your briefs. Um, Bookkeepers won't be necessary. Lots of jobs like that. The jobs that will stick around are the ones where you have to glad hand and go meet people, and um, a lot of the sales will be done over the phone, but you still need a personal touch for contracts and things like that, which will probably only equate to about 5% of the job market. So there's a gentleman named Mo Gadat, and he went on Diary of the CEO. Look up that conversation, because he wrote a book called Scary Smart. And the first chapter of the book, the first few pages, says, I'm gonna give you a scenario. In 2028, did you say 2028 or 2038? 2030, maybe. Not too far from now, 2030, but I think he upped the timeline when he was talking to Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO. He said, you're going to be on a deserted island for one or two reasons. First reason is you're hiding from the machines, like Skynet. You know what I mean? The other reason could be your utter obsolescence. You're no longer necessary. Now you have nothing to do except for be on an island. So we're all going to have to figure out if we really do. The cat's out of the bag, really. We can't put that cat back in the bag with AI. It's already gone past that point. The experts said, don't let them talk to each other. Don't let them learn from each other. All these things, and they've done it. And so what that means is we're all going to have to figure out how to make money um, outside of our normal ways of making money that we have done. That's part of my reason to think about going to the Philippines. Because if it's going to be tough for everybody, I'd rather have it really hard on the beach than really hard in Canada at -50. What do you guys think? Better idea? I'd rather be poor on a beach, and if I don't have a roof over my head, I can just sleep under the sun, than trying to stay warm in -50 when all it does is keep snowing. Anyway, so not to say like, well, this looks like it's going to happen, so we should probably be prepared for it. But so what I was going to say about it though is that even if they say, okay, we're just going to have UBI and everybody's going to be A-okay because everybody's on universal basic income, that's really not going to be helpful because that's just a basic income. That's a basic income. Landlords are still going to want to be greedy, and they're still going to up your rent every year. And food prices are still going to go up, and the cost of energy is still going to go up. And you're not going to be able to cover it with that universal basic income. You're going to need a secondary income to cover the rest. So, yeah, we got to start thinking now and being prepared for the future. Yeah. So my advice to people is become skilled in something. This is where craftsmanship is really going to start coming back again. Because you can mass produce furniture, correct? And that's what people do. They buy from the Leons and the bricks and the such and such. But if you make a gorgeous chair and you've taught yourself how to do that, you could still sell it. If you make art, you can still sell it. Teaching people things, gardening, doing things like that. Working with your hands is really going to still be necessary because AI is not going to go fix someone's plumbing, is it? Is it going to snake your toilet? No, we're not yet there yet. We're not there where we have AI going into a robotic unit and being that precise. So that's a way to still make money for the next 10, 15 years at least. Learn a trade, absolutely. Learn a trade, get a skill. Be that glad hand person that goes out to meet people and talk about ideas in person and get them to actually do the signing of something. So yeah, that be the head honcho, because the head honcho is going to have to be there, but his underlings not so much. So every department that had 20 or 30 people, probably now going to be able to survive with 2 or 3. Yeah. So it's really going to really put a monkey wrench in the employment rate. We're really going to have hundreds of thousands of people suddenly out of work. And when people stop spending, deflation happens. When deflation happens, economies crash. That's what is happening now in China. Massive deflation. They can't sell pork for X number of yuan for, pork even. Yeah. Come to Jamaica. Isn't it really expensive in Jamaica? We have medicinal plants growing wild here, and this land is quite magical. The land, we have beaches too. LOL. I'd love to come to Jamaica. I'd love to come to Jamaica because I hear you guys have the best beach glass. That and Aruba. And, but I'm looking for a place that's sort of not as expensive to live, so that I can make what I've been able to save go a little bit further. In Australia, we work all our lives for $444 a week when you retire at 67. as long as you have no property or money in the bank. Oh my God. Listen, let me tell you what it's like in the real world out here. So I've worked with, like, in the oil and gas industry, for a while. And so I had my kids, and I didn't work as much when I had my kids, because I couldn't go away to remote locations and work. So when I talk to the guys that I work with, and they've worked straight through their lives because their wives have pretty much taken care of everything on the home front. And so their pensions are like $6,000 a month, and not to mention their Canada pension on top of that. And that's just for a straight up low level sort of laborer. Never mind pipe fitters, never mind what their pensions are. They're like $8,000 a month. They probably have the best pensions going. And when I look at my pension, it's like, are you kidding me? But I'm lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. My sister has been working as a social worker with developmentally challenged adults for the last 30 years. And the place she's worked for is a nonprofit. It's a place where it's a community center with a learning center, and she helps bridge the gap between her clients in the community and getting them out to work and volunteer and meeting people and doing things like that, and just having training courses. And she does that. It's really fulfilling. Not a penny in pension for her coworkers and herself. The higher ups that plan and really do a poor job of it, of course they have a pension, but not a penny for her. So all she'll have to rely on is her Canada pension, and I think it's something like $1,270 a month. And then there's, I think what it is, it's uh, old age pension, OAS, and then they have a top up, which is if you don't have enough, they top you up to a certain amount. But still, I think the tops at $1,800 a month. When you look at how much it costs to live here in Canada, that is scary, because they wouldn't even be able to heat their home or you know eat in the wintertime. So, and it's not getting better. It's not getting better for them. The ones that had the great pensions are still struggling now because of the cost of food. I went to the grocery store the other day. I got a bag of groceries for $50, and it was just one bag, and it wasn't full. So it's pretty crazy here. You go buy chicken, it's just chicken breasts, 5 chicken breasts, $25. Can you guys believe that? How much is in Australia to buy 5 chicken breasts? Josie? Is Shou Shan in danger? At the recent award event, there was an issue with seating concerning him and Yang Mi. The seats were assigned by Ning. His was gone until his fans called attention to it. Oh, don't get me started on Yang Mi. Ugh. Like I said, I don't believe any artist is safe. I believe they're all in danger. I think they're all being exploited. I think at any moment any one of them, no matter how. Look at Godfrey Gao. He did a Hollywood film, and they still ran him till he died, and did not apologize for it in one bit. Live in a commune, absolutely de-moonlight. Start your own commune. Here's what I'd love to do. Go to the Philippines. I know I can't buy a home. That's so sad, because people can come to Canada, and it doesn't matter where you are from the world. You could buy any place you want here, any business, any farmland, any house. You can drive up the market for the people who live here so they can't afford it, just like they did at COVID when they had a lot of Chinese buyers buy multiple homes, and they even had it as an investment for investment brokers to buy blocks and blocks of homes. So everybody who lives there now can't afford it. It's driven up the price of a starter home to $1 million. For what reason? And that's not in just in Toronto, that's in the country. Anyway, so yeah. Here's what I would do. Go to the Philippines, rent the land, build tiny homes on it that are, little trailers or whatever. Just put like 10 tiny homes down in a sort of U shape, have the center courtyard and gardens there, and have everybody just live for a pittance. And if you need some help, you need some help. If you don't need some help, people just leave you alone. You have your little porch you sit on and you wave over to your neighbor. Hey, Dolores, how's it going today? Feel like coming by for a cup of tea? You know? And then, like, you have, like, I can't think of anything that would be better. I mean, each person has their own little place, and you can, hang out with them if you want or if you don't want. And then nobody has to worry about food because you're all growing it yourselves. Keep a few pigs, all this other stuff, and just go back to the land because this whole AI thing is going to lead us back that way anyway. Every civilization has had a golden era and a destruction era, right? The golden era of a civilization. Look at Rome, and then Rome collapsed. Look at Russia. The Soviet Union collapsed and then builds back up again, and now it's collapsing again. So look at China. It's collapsing now. No doubt about it. It's collapsing. So we all just have a different plan. We're past the golden era now. We have cyclical sort of um, times where it's an 80 year span where you have like highs and then you have a low, and this low is coming. We should be prepared for it, don't you think? Cheapest rent is $400 a week. Ah, is that a lot? Guess how much rent is here? $2,000 a month for a 1 bedroom. I only found out today you were Canadian. Yeah, Jennifer, my accent didn't give me away. A boot? Anybody gonna wear a toque tonight? Have two family who moved from Canada through Asia at 20 years old and never went back. Don't know how they survived the cold and food. Yes, listen, there used to be people who vied to come to Canada. Now, people who immigrated here are moving out of country en masse because they see the forest for the trees. They see that the end all be all isn't here anymore and it's time to leave. And you know how they have, like, they're talking about Minnesota and the fraud in Minnesota with Somalis and stuff like that. The thing is, like, we have a large Somali community in Ottawa as well. And, people are saying, it's a tough area. Like, you might get stabbed for looking at someone the wrong way. And then we have other areas in Canada where it's like tent cities now. And we have other areas where it's like, because they made all drugs legal, non-criminalized. There's just like places where it looks like zombie towns. So it's not the beautiful country we used to know. Oh, so yeah, I wanna do a see if the spirits can tell me about AI because I'd like to know what they think. You know, what's gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? Here's what you know how I have the intuition thing, right? I don't know anything about Yang Mi, okay, but I do know this. I saw her in a video once and saw her interact with someone, and the way she looked at that person, you know what I mean? Red flags, red flags, red flags. What someone was just trying to talk to her and had like their own phone out to film her, and she smacked it out of their hands. And then she was really sort of rude and condescending to Yu Meng Long when he was showing her a recording of their songs for a movie that they were in. And um, and I just think, listen, Everybody says, oh, she was trying to save Yumen Long, trying to save Yumen Long. I mean, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. There's no way she could have saved Yumen Long and come in with her agency and saved him. I just think it's full of baloney. I think it's baloney. I think she's opportunistic and not a nice person. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. I know there's other people who feel that way too. Good. Yeah, D. Yes. Same vibe. Same vibe. And so everybody's just like, oh, Yang Mi. Oh, she's amazing. She loved you, Meng Long. No, 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 no. I don't think. Oh, I find it very disturbing that everybody is now on. People keep contacting me and saying, what did Jackson Wang and Dylan Wang have to do with this? With Yu Meng Long? And I'm like, well, I've never heard their names come up before. Where is this coming from? And it really bothers me too when I'm scrolling down YouTube and I see something like a YouTube channel that says, oh, Song Yuren arrested and, so and so arrested. Um, and it's all just baloney. And they're making people think that something is getting done with, you know, um, on the legal standpoint for you, Meng Long. It really just cheeses me off. Oh, what I wanted to say about the government in China right now is when I mentioned that, uh, a lot of the people in government know what happened. They just don't care. They're not going to stick their neck out, or they're just thinking it's actually working well for them. So they're happy about it. Um, is what I was trying to say about that is that I don't believe that even if she's kicked out of office and they have someone else take over for him, it's going to be the army if someone does take over, and it'll be more like a military state. But I don't believe they will launch anything for human long either. They will just pretend it didn't happen because it reflects poorly on the CCP. Yep, Yang Mi is a liar. Yes, she is. All my instincts are telling me so, and nothing has showed. Do you know how I know as well? You has told me all the people that have been good to him. He's mentioned their names. He's never once mentioned her name. Not once. If she was really so great to him, he would say so. And he's quick to say that person was a friend of mine. And when I talked about Jackson Wang with him, you never said he did anything to him. And Jackson and him agreed, yes, he did talk to him about going along to get along, and you should just, have a few drinks with people, and you should do this and do that. You know, Jackson is aware of what's going on. Jackson is going along to get along. Is that terrible? Is that wrong? Perhaps. I mean, it's his choice, though, if he's willing to, as long as he's not hurting anyone. But you never said anything about him hurting him. So I just think it's the number of people who are supposed to be involved are getting broader and broader. And when that happens and we lose focus, it kind of muddies the water. And who's really at fault in the end really gets kind of overlooked. Could I share the names you gave for who are involved? Is that what you mean? C10P02? That's interesting. I'm getting a weird feeling about you. Um, can I share the names? Song Yuren, Fan Shiki, Du Chang, Fang Li, um, Gao Taiyu, Zheng Maiji, Kaija, Aurora, Qian Herong, and that's all. He's not mentioned anyone else. Unless, and do know though, if sometimes they say a Chinese name and I don't, and I'm not aware of it, I put a blank space there and I put name with a question mark beside it. And then I'll put in brackets what I think I hear so that someone could say, oh, that sounds like his old CEO, or, and their name is similar to that. So, there are names that I haven't recognized. So he could have said more, but those are the ones he's mentioned the most. He's really, how he feels about Fan Shiki is totally and utterly betrayed. That he thinks he's a vile creature, a vile person that hurts children, and he cannot abide by that. And he said in the session today, I'm going to keep watching out for my children, and I love my children. That's what you said. And he's talking about the children he taught in Yunnan. And he's talking probably about the other children he met that they were exploiting while he was alive. So, yeah. Yeah, he thinks about Song Yuren. He thinks, he hates her. He said that in the session today. I really hate her. I really do. And he had no patience for her pretend crying when she would tell him, you should really be with me. Maybe I can save you if you're with me. And then him having to give her the talk afterwards kind of let her down easy because she would punch him in the face. He said her fist was harder than anyone's fist. That he said you'd be surprised that such a little thing could pack quite a punch. Can you imagine someone just punching someone in the face and then saying 5 minutes later, oh, kiss me or be my boyfriend? And he would have to let her down easy. Ugh, disgusting. Disgusting people. He said that Kaija was in charge of controlling him. He was put in charge of being his sort of handler from school days, he said. So I'm taking that to mean the academy. When Du Chang and Joe Pin were put in his path to convince him to compete in Happy Boys so that they could make him. Oh, yeah, he mentioned Chin Chi, of course. He said that Chin Chi had lied to him twice. Lied to him to trick him into signing the contract and lied to him about the contract. It was a fake contract. It was a yin-yang contract where the real contract that they brought out later on was the one that gave him nothing and made him a slave. Yeah, Du Chang and Xiaopin were put in his way to convince him to compete. And then Du Chang became his handler, and Joe Pin as well. Whenever Du Chang was not available, Joe Pin was there. So their army all the way. And I do believe that if there's a sleeper cell of Chinese elite forces in Taiwan, and I do believe that event that happened in Taipei, where the guy was setting off smoke bombs and other things by the train station, subway station, that was just a test to see response times, because they'll have an incursion on the ground of elite forces that are part of sleeper cells when they launch action in Taiwan. Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. Oh my goodness, it's freezing in my house. My furnace is, I think I told you guys it's not working very well. It's got to be replaced. And so it's like not very warm in here at all. I'm sitting under a blanket with a heating pad. It's terrible here. Who's this? Marilyn. Good day, Deb. I'm a bit late, but I agree. Are you are you Australian? It sounds like it. There's too much fake news and it can have consequences for those targeted. Yep. I don't even watch the news anymore because it's they're all saying the same thing. It's all like uh I'll just leave that out. I actually wanted to work in journalism. I wanted to be a journalist when I was younger, and I'm glad I didn't go into it. Because imagine you go into journalism because you have a deep longing for truth. You want to expose the lies and deceit out there, and you know, and you go into it, and then you find out you're working for, let's say, the CBC. And oh, look at the Wall Street Journal. Didn't they publish that Zhang Yuxia had um, traded secrets about nuclear weapons to the US? Where was their source on that? Is is it the Wall Street Journal? Is that actually owned by the Communist Party? What the hell? Come on. I mean, it's very well respected and recognized publication, yet it could completely fabricate shit like that? Come on. Who's fabricating shit like that? The elite. Not Xi Jinping, the elite. They really control and run everything. There's a shadow government behind these little puppets. The Donald Trumps that I don't think he wrote a single paper for himself in university because I don't think he has a brain in his head. I'm sorry, I know people love Donald Trump. He's just another one of those elites that are masquerading as a champion for the everyday people. It's like, what did they say? It's like the axe convincing the forest they're brothers because it has a wooden handle. Right? No, you can trust me. I'm just like you. And then the axe comes down and there goes the tree. Just like Xi Jinping. He's only got an elementary school education. There's so many wonderfully intelligent people in China that have degrees upon degrees, and he has an elementary school education and he's running the country. You know why he's running the country? Because he's a thug, and these other individuals are wanting to interact with him with a gentleman standpoint. Oh no, he'll never do this. Gentlemen don't treat each other in this way. No, that's what he did. He was a thug. He killed Zhang Yuxia, and then now he's riding the tiger, can't get off, and can't present Zhang Yuxia to get off the tiger because he's gone. So it was kind of do first, think later, right? And so he's created quite a mess for himself and China. Quite a mess. And we're going to be seeing this, that now they won't be able to attack Taiwan, which is a good thing. Because there's no way they could get anything accomplished in that army with the discommunication that was going on prior. Now look at it. It's in total disarray. How could they possibly get organized enough to attack another country? They can't. They can't. So yeah, good thing. I'm blabbering again. I should probably let you guys go. I'm now blabbering about politics. But yeah, so we're in for a good, fun ride until 2030. It's going to look pretty chaotic around here, and a lot of us are just going to have to try and figure it out on the fly because that's the way it's going to be. Yeah, I do have to admire Donald for working his way to president. However, when he says I'm a self-made man and then says on in the same breath, my dad only gave me $1 million for my first company, and I was the one that built from there. If my dad had given me $1 million for my first company, I'd be far ahead than Donald's, and I wouldn't have had to cheat people uh, left, right, and center to do it. You know, all these contractors, the contractor that made his building in New York never got paid, not one red penny. He just defaulted on things. He made a university. He that went bankrupt because that there's no one that's gone bankrupt more than Donald Trump, and he's supposed to be a brilliant businessman. He's just cheated people out of their what money they should have had over and over again, just so he could keep it for himself. And he would just hire the best lawyers. So where he spent his money is with a lot of law firms. Yeah. Tila Tequila? Who's that? Deborah, can you do a reading on Tila Tequila? Is she's Oh, did you guys see the video that's been going around where it was supposedly from 2009 when a model came out of an event in Mexico and she's like looking pretty rough, like someone who had a horrible evening at a party she probably shouldn't have attended, and she was screaming in the street, "They're eating people! They're eating people!" What was her name? Oh my goodness, you got to look her up on YouTube. And she's screaming in Spanish, "They're eating people." I'm gonna look up her name. Gabriela Rico Jimenez, Jimenez. I think it's Jimenez. And it was in 2009. The police arrested her, and then no one ever saw her ever again. She disappeared off the face of the planet. Yeah. Yep, there's some pretty crazy things going on. Pretty crazy. Yeah, I know Aurora is Ji Guangguang. Yep. And then he's also Ming too. Or Li Ming. And his grandfather's supposed to be Peng Ling or something. Wait, Li Peng, who was like a major politician. So they're all like red uh, aristocracy. They're all red aristocracy. Except for Du Cheng, Fan Shiki, and Chen Sing Song. Tian He Rong kind of married into a aristocracy. But I think she kind of is related as well because Qin Shi is actually an illegitimate son of Xi Jinping. So his mother is her sister. So it's kind of like familial related, related through marriage or something like that. So, yeah, they're all sort of in each other's back pocket. Oh, yes, I should do a reading on the model. I really did. That's why I sort of wrote down her name when I found that out because it sounds very similar to what they're doing here. And that was in 2006 or 2009. So that was a way back. I'm sorry, Annie, what are you saying? Deborah, for those that suicide, what is the punishment for them? No punishment. There's there's no punishment on the other side. Um, I know we don't want to hear this, but we want to hear that people are going to go to hell for what they've done. Um, here's okay. How do I put it? So when you pass over, you have your spirit and your soul goes over. Your soul is the one that's going to go into um, your life contemplation, where you go into a life review and you look at and how you look at this life review is it's going to actually be real time playing to you, but you're going to be looking at it from the face of the other person that you hurt, from the feelings of the other person you hurt. Let's say you killed somebody, or you abused your wife, or you yelled at your kids all the time because you drank too much and you had anger issues and stuff like that, you're going to view that event through the eyes of your child or your wife or the person you ran over with your car and didn't stop and just left them on the side of the road, things like that. And you're going to get a first time look at how that impacted their life. And because your soul is now divested from ego, um, and all the other worldly sort of things that we cling on to in this plane to function through this real realm, you're going to be left with nothing but reflection of what happened. And you're going to either accept that or not. And if you don't accept it, then what you're going to do is go into, like, how do I put it? So before we come to the planet, we make a soul contract. Have you guys ever heard of soul contracts? So you make a soul contract that your goal in this life is to correct something you didn't do in your last life. For example, if you were a wife abuser in your last life, you're going to come back maybe and be a woman in this life, and you're going to maybe help other women who are dealing with abuse in their life now, and your soul contract is to help them, transition from an abusive relationship to a successful single life afterward. Things like that. That'll be your soul contract. And then you come here and you're growing up and you're in your teens and you get introduced to rock and roll and the rock and roll lifestyle, and you don't abide by your soul contract. And you start playing guitar and you start smoking up and you start being crazy and you start chasing money, chasing wealth, chasing fame, and you've forgotten your soul contract. You go into this life and you're doing your thing, and you signed your soul contract, and then you had other people that were over on the other side, and you made a pact with that person, and you said, okay, if I'm not on my path, you're going to come into my life, or you're going to make my life miserable, and you're going to do this and you're going to do that to try to get me back on my path, right? And so maybe it's a bad relationship that you had. Maybe it was a relationship with someone where you guys became drug addicts together or something like that. And because of your addiction, you now had to go into sort of AA or, seek group therapy or therapy to deal with the addiction. And then you're in the path of being around a lot of women who are who have been in abusive relationships and use drugs to deal with that, or were forced to do drugs by abusive partners or things like that. So now suddenly you're on the path that you should have been on. So that person is like a soul contract with you. So let's say when you have someone, let's say, who does you wrong, like hits you with a car, okay, when you're just walking down the road and you didn't have a sidewalk, you're walking on the side of the road. That person signed a soul contract with you that they would be the one to do that, and then you're in a huge battle, insurance and doing all this and all that, and you hate the person because now you're in a wheelchair and blah blah blah. But it puts you on the path that you were supposed to be. So both of you accomplished your mission, right? So what if you was on the other side and his soul contract was about being a light bringer and shining a light on this horrible industry and what's going on in China? Okay. And what if the person on the other side said, okay, I will be your abuser. I will be the one that makes it possible for you to die in such a horrendous way that it wakes millions of people up from their sleep, from the zombie-like existence that they have. And I'll take the blow to my karmic wheel to accomplish that. And then you both go to the other side. And let's say you're not going to be like buddy with each other because you're still slightly attached to this life. Like Chao Renlian isn't. He's transitioned completely. His soul has moved on probably to reincarnate, and his spirit has moved on from the worldly toils, and it has nothing to do with him. And a lot of times spirit will say, I can't tell you that, because they're not allowed to interfere greatly in our lives. They can give us some information, but they can't tell us, hey, you know what? You can never tell me today, Deb, I'm telling you this because part of your grand plan is 10 years from now, you're going to be standing on a beach somewhere talking to someone you talked to today, and then you're going to stop something from hitting her or something like that so she doesn't die. So like they know all this stuff. They see every nuance, but they can't tell us. They can't tell us. So on the other side, this individual that's been terrible will go into life reflection. They'll see the hurt that they caused everybody from that person's point of view, living in the body of that person, how it physically hurt them, how it mentally hurt them, how it hurt their soul, and they will experience it viscerally. And then they will go into a retreat type situation where they'll go into sort of a school to learn. The soul will heal because doing these things damages the soul. And they'll go into a classroom, and this is why you come lots of times over and over again, and you feel so close to your best friend or your sister because you both are in the same soul tribe and you reincarnate with each other over and over again. So you'll all end up in that classroom again, and you'll all end up reincarnating again. Maybe not on Earth, maybe in another location. But hell is when you live with what you did. That's hell. Because you get to experience what you did to others firsthand. And imagine what Song Yuren's going through right now and all the people she hurt. That's hell. She's going to get to experience what she did to you firsthand. Hi, honey. Oh. Oh. No, well, I knew that Du Chang had a wife and children. I didn't know Ji Guangguang did. Isn't, like, look, yeah, can you imagine? You have wives and children and you do what you do like that? Like, Ji Guangguang's, like, harvesting children's organs. Like, he's dishing them out at Walmart on sale. How could he? How could he look at his own children? And that's what I think. Some of these people, I really don't. I think they'd sell out their own kids for themselves. Just the mindset they have. Their souls are so damaged and polluted from this lifetime that they're just doing these things. Ugh. Yuck. If I saw auras, I bet theirs would be black. Yeah, celebrities take their reputation way too seriously, but we do too. Like, I mean, what is it? What is it about these idolizations of like K-pop groups? I mean, you have like stands for them that are crazy, totally crazy. Like, will attack other artists if they have anything bad to say about their group. I think there was a new boy band that was being made by Simon Cowell, and they made the mistake of saying something untoward about what's it called? I'm blanking on the name of the which I just the most famous K-pop band in Korea. Anyway, Jungkook's in it. You guys know the name of the band, right? Oh, my brain. Anyway, so they made the mistake of bad mouthing them, and now the army is after them. Ji Guangguang has a daughter. Oh, I hope she never finds out what he's done. I hope she never does. That'd be a sin, wouldn't it? Being like a young girl and finding out your father does these things to people. That would be scarring. That'd be scarring. And you have to wonder what the heck happened in their life. What the heck happened? Well, not really, actually. When you have here's why this could happen to you, Menglong. Because they live in a society that will turn a blind eye because you're happen to be the grandson of so and so. So you get the opportunity to do whatever you want. And Chen Chi, I heard that when he went to school and he was having a rough time and he had a bad week, they buy him a Land Rover. So what did he learn? He learned objects. He learned to value things. So then when he became CEO, that was pretty much given to him. What did he think of the artists that he owned? They were his things, right? So he turned them into objects and he treated them like his toys. And he's still treating them. BTS, that's right. I can't believe I blanked on their name. Oh my goodness, I finished making the pulled pork that I made today. It was delicious. I had it on baked yellow potatoes with string green beans on the side. It was really good. Really, really good. And I have leftovers for tomorrow. I always like doing that where you make a meal one night and you have leftovers for the next day so you don't have to make something again. So I just want to say to you guys, I really appreciate the community we're creating here. Not only here with you guys, but over at Ties and well, I do have to ask, does anybody know how to block somebody? Because I have someone who's a real hater and I don't even know how to block on YouTube. Maybe I could just ask ChatGPT. Anyway, so I just love the community that we're creating because we're opening our eyes to what is really happening out there, but we're not just sitting back. We're not just moaning about it. We're talking about how we can make it better. And the way we can make it better is to stay connected. Knowledge is power. Keep spreading the word about what happened to you, what's happening around the world, what's happening to children, what's happening to women, what's happening to the homeless and the people who are like not part of the elite. The vulnerable is pretty much anyone who's vulnerable they take advantage of. And working together, I know we can stop it. Oh, we need a name for our community. It's weird that when I go over to Ties and then I have, when I live and I type in something, someone's like, is it your live? Are you taking over Ties live? I'm like, okay, I think it might be the 50 Cent Army that's doing that. I think I might have sussed what's going on. It's China's 50 Cent Army of keyboard warriors trying to separate us. You know what I mean? They're trying to keep us apart. And if they can't shadow ban us, which they do, and they can't mess with our technology, which they do, they'll try to make you uncomfortable. Throw some spanners into those works. Click on the three dots next to the message, and it will give you the option to, is it like block? Is that what you have to do? Do you press block on them? And then they can't see your lives or do anything like that? See how, I mean, I don't normally do things like this on YouTube, right? I just kind of scrolled through YouTube before. Deborah, do you see Xiao Yu? Wish I could see him. No, but you know what the weirdest thing was today? I'm going to tell you. I started crying when Chen Duling started talking about her father wanting to kiss her pretty face. Like he something he probably often said to her, and I kind of felt something brush against my leg, and then it happened 3 times, and I was like, "Is that you, Foolie?" you brushing against my leg? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like a dog brushing your leg. So yeah, I was like, I don't. So that's, oh yeah, okay. So I want to mention, when you have psychics and mediums, there's three different types. There's like clairaudient, where they'll hear a spirit speaking to them. There's clairsentient, when they sense the entity there and they sense the information coming to them. And there's clairvoyant, um, where it's kind of like just a knowing. It's an instantaneous knowing. Um, so I don't have any of those. I really would I could walk right through a spirit and not feel it. But my twin sister and my younger sister both have the ability to sense things. They were the ones that sense things in our very extremely haunted house when we were younger. And I was like, really? There's something in the closet? Okay, I believe you. Shut the door. Yeah, I've um, I've never seen anything before. Um, but I felt it. You kind of feel it. You like your hackles go up and your hair stands on end, and you're like, you can feel it, like you come into a room and the bad vibes are there. I feel it. I just don't know what I'm dealing with. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, okay, I'll look at the three dots, and then oh yeah, see, there's three dots by your name. So like Idaho, I think blocking is in the setting. I don't know, I haven't done it. Yeah, I have never blocked anyone before, but I really want to block this person. It's just annoying. We're all learning together. I'm very smart in other ways. I just don't know what to do about YouTube yet. I'll figure it out though. I guess I shouldn't say it. It sounds pretty egotistical of me to say I'm very smart in other ways. I do. They used to call me though when I would walk into places. They would say, call me Cliff Clavin, because I would always have this. This is way back there, the Wayback Machine for you guys. It's gonna be younger people going, the who? Who did they call you? It was just someone on an old show that used to walk into a bar, and you would always have little snippets of information to provide to people that had no bearing on the conversation whatsoever. And that's me. Well, okay, when did I start using Spirit Box? Well, my youngest child is um, his birthday's coming up in February 28th. He was born just before the a leap year day, so he missed out on getting a birthday every 4 years. Um, so he's going to be, gosh, he was born in 1996. So it was before 1996. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and he had a friend come from Montreal. And it was, I guess, the year of the ice storm that hit Montreal and had the huge blackout. He came to visit when that happened because he wanted somewhere to stay that he didn't have to deal with being blacked out in the winter. And he talked to me. We were sitting down just after supper, and he was telling me about how you could use radio signals to talk to the dead. And I was thinking, oh, wait now, is this guy sleeping over? Are we safe? Should we be getting him a hotel room? Because I don't trust this crazy, kooky guy. Um, but at that time, I was reading books about, what was it? Sensory deprivation tanks, and what people end up, areas of their mind they open up in these sensory deprivation tanks. And I said, well, if they can do that, why can't this be real? So then he told me that Edison had a box he called the spirit phone. So it's like, if Edison created a box, there's got to be some science behind it. So what I did was, I started researching it in the library, way back in library days. And I don't know. I think on early days of Line on one of those chat rooms, and the guy said that he had. Oh, chat's gone. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, that was a big lag. Can you guys still hear me? Hello? So it showed how to make one. So I decided to make one. And when I made one, we would go to certain locations for investigations. Like, for example, old forts in Ontario, like Fort Mississauga, Fort George, and the spirits would come through. And when I was in Fort Mississauga, the interesting thing was, you know how you normally say, "What's the name of the spirit you're talking to?" And people would say Mark or Tom. They were using all last names, like Fitzgibbons, Roy. And so that would have been how they addressed them, each other, in the time that Fort Mississauga was populated when people were there. Um, so only used it during investigations in haunted locations. Like the Dollhouse is a place that turned was an old museum that someone turned into a dollhouse with a whole bunch of dolls, and they made it into a doll museum, but it was extremely haunted. There was a place in Hamilton, so I would take it along with me when I went, and then I would review, and then sometimes I would use it when I was at my aunt's place or on Halloween or things like that. And I used it one time at my apartment. Nothing haunted there. Um, that was ages ago, and so I asked the spirit box what time at that time what it felt like to be dead, and a British voice came through, and it said "ghosty" in a British accent. And if it was radio stations from here, yes, you have DJs that are and broadcasters, announcers that are British, but the way I set my rate on my spirit box, you wouldn't even be able to get a syllable out of each channel you're passing. The rate is so high. You only get things like that. So when it said that clear as a bell, it was quite interesting. So I still have that in my voice memos. Um, so yeah, that it's been now over 20 years. Well, yeah, it would have been before 1995, so actually 30 years now. 30 years. But I think I made I've known about the spirit box for 30 years. I think I made it about 5 years after that. So about 25 years, yeah. Uh, I thought black shadows are bad spirits. No, no. I think they're interdimensional beings. You mean shadow men? The shadow men that people see? Um, yeah, no. I believe they're interdimensional beings that we can just see for split seconds through different dimensions because of some sort of frequency or vibration that's been sort of exploited. Like, I love watching and listening to podcasts about black eyed kids, Becks. I love listening about shadow men or shadow figures, the Hat Man, you name it. I've gone down the rabbit hole with all of them. Um, and there's a new movie coming out. I'm so excited about it because one of the things I think we've missed for a few years now is having some really great comedies come around. I think there's not been a lot of comedies, but there's going to be a comedy that comes out. I saw a trailer for it. It's about all the conspiracy theories in the world. This one guy believes them all, and he has a real straight laced brother who doesn't believe any of it. So they are trying to convince this other guy it's not real, none of it's real, and they're going to have him committed. So this other guy kidnaps his straight laced brother to take him on a American wide road trip to all the places where these conspiracy theories are, and the calamities that ensue because of it, it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. When is at night calling your name many times, you better pray, don't answer, and don't search for the voice. Is the ghost or spirit that calls, ignore them. Continue praying in your heart. Um, okay, I'm not one to think of or even be paranoid about that sort of thing. Um, I'm not going to think if my car broke down. It has to do with bad spirits coming over the box and talking to me and making my life not so great. I've been doing this for almost 25 years and I've never had. In fact, when I did Chen's session just after he died, a demonic laugh and a demonic voice did come through. But you can't help what comes through on the box, and it doesn't mean that it can affect you. I have I have a bulletproof protection over me because I know they can't hurt me. I know it's with every fiber of my being they can't hurt me. It's like the placebo or nocebo effect. When they do studies on medication, they'll find that the person that had the sugar pill can actually have a better result than the person that actually has the medication because it's mind over matter. They believe it's going to work. And the mind and the body have extraordinary things. And I've never had an entity ever bother me all this time. All this time. Not one. Never had anything follow me home. I've never had to, put witch hazel on the corners of east, north, and south and west of my house. I've never had to do any of that. I've just kind of looked at it scientifically. Um, if I use a REM pod and a REM pod is where someone comes close to the pod and it will light up like the bear that Candace uses. Um, and they light it up, you can try to communicate through that. It's like come closer to it, and if it beeps, it's a yes. If it doesn't beep, it's a no. You can use the spirit box. You can use EMF readers, electromagnetic readers that could change all these sort of technologies because I have to, because I can't sense these things. So I mean, they could be standing right behind me right now and all sitting on the couch I'm sitting and listening to us, and I would not be aware. Yeah, do you know what I think? It's I write books as well, so I've written about um, all the lore across the world, like gods and demigods and house brownies and fairies and all these things, and they're all wrapped up into the characters that I've written about. And I just think it's totally fascinating that you have like a house elf in Russia that's like your butler. It's really interesting, that this fae would be a house's butler and stuff like that, and you just have to. And then other people who believe, and I like to listen to. There's another person on YouTube called Scary Fairy Godmother, and she reads all the stories about the fae that people encounter, and they send her stories in. She's really amazing too. Marianne, when you're at home alone, light a candle and have a house meeting. Ask them to protect the house and its occupants. They protect from negative things entering your home. Okay, everyone has different beliefs. You do what feels right for you. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a knowing. It's a gnosis, right? It's not even a feeling. I know I'm protected, and nothing has been able to bother me this whole time. So, yeah. So when I did this reading on Gu Ju Chen and I put on my thing, if you have, I put a notice up, be forewarned. If you are, if this would scare you, don't listen to this, right? And then I had someone contact me saying, oh, you're playing with trickster spirits and the demons are coming for you, and you don't know what you're doing because you're not a medium or a psychic. And like, excuse me, I studied parapsychology in school. I've read more than most people have. You know what I mean? I've done this for this many years. Um, I don't see how I'm any less than a medium or a psychic, but this person just kept haranguing me. And anytime I put a comment up, they would send comments back with like a devil emoji and like evil eye. I was like, oh my gosh, have I done something to this person in a past life or something? It was really funny. I finally had to say, have I offended you in some way? Because sometimes I don't realize I do because I'm very neurodivergent. So sometimes I'll say something that's totally true, but it doesn't mean it should have come out of my mouth, right? And then I realize after the fact, or someone points it out to me. So if I offend you guys, please just tell me how I did it, and then I'll apologize because I might not even realize I did it. But anyway, so oh my, what time is it? Oh my gosh! So I've kept you guys for 2 hours. This is awesome. Thank you so much for popping in and us having this chat. I'm sorry to I have to tell you guys about Chen Duling. I mean, could be the spirits are doing another, this is my prediction, this is going to happen, but I don't think so. I think it's actually really happened this time. And if we see her again, just look a little closer. You'll probably see all the little telltale signs that she's not there. It's not really her. Okay. And I'm going to review my session I did today on Deborah to see how she's doing. Okay. And I'll post it as soon as I know. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm going to stop the live now. Everybody have a good night. I mean, it's nighttime here. Have a good sleep if you're going to sleep. Have a good afternoon if it's afternoon, or a good morning and a good day. I sound like the Truman Show right now. All right, guys. End broadcast here.